and it will last for about an hour. And in that hour, the focus of my play is marginalization and internalized oppression. And marginalization, as you know, has to do with like being put down, feeling more like you are secondary and less superior because other people are using what is called, their own rank and their own position and their own power, either against you or in relation to yours. And in my case, the use of power and rank that I'm talking about came mainly through organized religion and through the colonial influences in my culture. So I grew up feeling and experiencing myself as inferior. The two major influences were colonialism and Christianity. And of course, both of those came to us presented as white and superior and better in relation to the culture they met, the religion that they met, and the people that they met. And so it's not unlike how African Americans and some other minority groups in the US, for example, grow up wanting to be like, and in most cases wanting to be like what is modeled for them, in the media, in books, in movies. That was my experience too. And so coming out of that is part of what is informing the level of marginalization that I have felt all the way. And so the masks that I referenced earlier were ways of coping, adjusting, and thriving. For example, I made education something big in my life because it was like my corridor to power, to recognition, to acknowledgement, and to success in the way it was presented. So that would be one example.
So you used education as a tool in order to balance things out based on a power disparity that you experienced while growing up.
To build myself up, to balance the power equation that I saw, to gain access to what I knew was possible, because what I knew was possible wasn't what my people had. That was labeled all kinds of ways. I mean, animalism, heathenism, paganism, uncivilized. The list goes on and on and on. So that wasn't where to find it in my reasoning. It had to be someplace else, which is in this version that was presented to my people.
I'd like to ask you a question that has to do with your vulnerability.
Please ask.
Does one of these masks that you've been wearing all these years have the name shame or guilt written on it?
Absolutely. The word shame comes in there. It does. But the way I would understand shame would have to be with something that you have, in a response to something you've done wrong, or to feeling that you have that is not right. But the framing that I would love to use is more of the internalized oppression. So there is something that has been done to you that leaves you feeling internally that you are not, able to free yourself up or measure up, similar to what you were referencing with shame. So it becomes an internal struggle or bondage or challenge that now lives within you. That I'm not good enough. I'm not as smart.
You are listening to Unmasking with Okokon Udo. We'll be right back after this message.
Authenticity Radio. Stimulating and transparent. Real people and real authentic talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get real.
Slade Suter Live.
Hi, this is Ronald D. Moore, writer of Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica, and you are listening to Authenticity Radio with Slade Suter.
And now we return to Unmasking with Okokon Udo.
Most of all, I want my arms about you. Well, don't be a naughty baby. Come to Papa, do. My sweet embrace of you.
You know, Okokon, I'm surprised. You know, I've had this image of you or experience of you whenever you walked into a room, this quiet strength. And here you are on Authenticity Radio in front of everyone with total transparency and vulnerability, expressing that there's much, much more underneath.
It surprises me too. And I think it will surprise the world. It will surprise the world because what they have come to see and appreciate in the way I show up in the world has to do with what I said earlier about the looking good and the excelling mask that I put on. I became my own taskmaster. And in most ways, the inferiority, the insecurity, the shame that you are talking about could never be seen. I would not let that happen. See, I could not let that happen. And so you are working so hard always to be at the top of your game so that people will not have access to the parts of you, in this case, the parts of me that ever struggled.
As a conflict facilitator, is it necessary to do the unmasking that you're prepared to do?
Yes, it is the beginning. The work that I am called to do in the world is such that I have to come clean. You know, I have to stand face to face, heart to heart, soul to soul with people who are dealing with similar kinds of struggles or circumstances. And if I am in my space of rank, based on whatever mask I am putting on, as you know, in this work, there is a way that it can be picked up intuitively that allows, that prevents me from being as effective as I could possibly have been. You know, and you've talked about and written a book on authenticity, and so you know that the more authentic you are, the more enrolling it becomes, and it allows other people to also go down that path.
And if we take a look at it the other way around, if we do not allow our primary personality, our authentic selves to show, we're cheating. We're cheating everyone. We're cheating the people we're talking to. We're cheating the world. We're cheating ourselves. And I have a sense that more and more people want to do this. They want to identify their authentic and true self. They're hungry. We are hungry for this, and people are creative. They're finding all sorts of ways to do this. And this way of bearing your soul, identifying what you found in dealing with the darkness, and then making a decision to unmask yourself is a very creative way of going about it. And maybe some people will follow in your footsteps. What do you think?
The play is primarily for me. You know, it's something I could have done in my home by myself. And so the process has achieved that. So that, you know, I have been working on this for over a year now. So the process has accomplished that, of my discovering who I am, accessing the abundance that is in me, finding out, like we talked about in the previous recording, what those dark drawers were and cleaning them out. So I have been working on that. On this side of it, who I am discovering in myself is somebody that I never discovered or experienced before. So I am loving and appreciating myself more and respecting myself more because of the journey I have gone through. At the same time, I know that any of our experiences is never just about us. So I am sure, very sure, that one person in that audience of whatever number is going to be there because they needed to hear my story. And to the extent that that story helps one more person begin to unmask and begin to discover themselves in the same way, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished.
You've had a long road and a lead up to get to where you're at now. Where do you want to go from here?
Okay, great question. So we are talking about the issue at an individual level right now. But the same issue we are talking about occurs or exists in communities, in countries, in cultural groups, in entire societies, which is also the different levels of application of my degree emphasis. So conflict facilitation goes anywhere from one-on-one to helping countries or helping ethnic groups or racial groups or cultural groups mediate or engage challenges and conflicts that exist between them. So from that perspective, yes, I will be, integrating some of this into what I'm doing currently by helping individuals who want to explore what the implications of my play are for them, helping some people deal with historic issues that they've been carrying on. I don't know if you've heard of like historic trauma. That would be related to issues, for example, like the Holocaust or slavery or the American Indian or Aboriginal experiences, which happened like long time ago, but it is still impacting people today. That's the kind of issue that I'm dealing with. You may think that colonialism happened yesterday. No, I wasn't born when it happened, but it impacted me. The missionary activities, same thing.
There's an author by the name of Eckhart Tolle who wrote The Power of Now. And in there, he talked about the collective pain body. Now, the pain body is when there is a culture or a nation or a people who have suffered a lot. And the suffering is collective. And there's kind of like an energetic residue that hangs out and passes from generation to generation. It's heavy.
Absolutely. You breathe it in the air, yes.
Eckhart went on to describe how difficult it is for an individual to set themselves free from a collective suffering or a collective abuse when it comes to either a suppressed culture or, for example, the Holocaust or slavery. The fact is that it has influenced you. The people, the energy, the way you were brought up in that society has impacted you. And the way that Eckhart Tolle suggests to break yourself free from the pain body is to become extra conscious, to become very aware, very present, so you can begin to see and so you can be able to experience that, hey, this is not necessarily part of me, and then make a decision to move on. I mention this because it's very similar to your recognition of your past and the masks that you're wearing today.
Yeah, the part that we do not want to minimize is the fact that it takes a lot of work. And in today's cultural context, it also takes a lot of resources. I have had, I would say, over 100 hours of intense supervision, coaching, inner